All right, welcome to the pilot episode of Mystery Go. This episode's Mystery Go and the Feral Monk. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, what's going on? How's everyone doing out there?
This episode, we're going to talk about we're going to talk about why and plus what. And that's going to equal the pilot. So this is all new experience for us, and I'm so excited that we're finally able to do it. Just to kind of fill everyone in a little bit, give them a little bit of background. I'm located here in Greensboro, North Carolina, and one of my best friends, also from the area, is now over in Switzerland. And so the Feral Monk's coming at you live from Zurich today.
From Zurich, Switzerland. About 8 o'clock in the evening.
Nice. And so basically the whole idea behind the podcast is kind of modeled after my production company, Ready Made, and it revolves around this philosophy of just kind of looking at things through a different kind of lens. And so I want to explore those things and expound upon them. And I mentioned words beginning with X, so there's the first one. And so it's going to have a loose feel to it, a loose structure. I want to involve music and some of the experimentation going on with that, and make some content that's enjoyable, some interesting stuff maybe people can learn something from. Mr. Monk, do you want to talk about some of the why that you're here today, and what you think about the podcast?
Yeah, I'm pretty much coming more from the angle that I feel like podcasting, or like the phenomenon of YouTube, or not so much other forms of social media, but maybe those two in particular, about this idea of sort of broadcasting yourself, in the sense of being able to be a part of like a conversation that spans like multiple countries in real time. I find that like a very interesting angle, that you can have um, people sharing their experiences and their wisdom and their over huge distances. That make it something that, as long as you have like a connection to some type of internet and a device, you have the ability to participate in dialogues and conversations happening, you know, around the world. I think that's a really interesting thing. I think it's um, a kind of format that sort of pushes back against like our modern tendency to quick information and sensationalism and hyperbolic language and things like that we've talked about over the years. And it's a long format that gives room for thinking out loud, and maybe even occasionally going down um, conversational paths or ideas that end up being dead ends, and it's okay. And you can um, it's something that allows a lot of breathing room for ideas to develop, and for perspectives maybe also to change midstream of a conversation, because of an insight that happens because of that sort of organic dynamic um, type of way of conversing. I think that's very interesting about uh, those two mediums. And mostly, I mean, we've had conversations, you know, hour long conversations pretty regularly, even though, I've been living away from North Carolina now since, 20 years. So that's a lot of the why of that is like, being able to participate in this incredible phenomenon of global broadcasting in the hands of like a normal average quote unquote person, and the possible opportunity of sharing conversations that we've had that have meant so much to me in my life and like in my development, um, and being able to maybe, in the continuing conversations, actually be able to share that with some other people, hopefully to their benefit. So that's sort of my perspective on the why of why I think a podcast or a YouTube channel. I've been very hesitant, that's for sure. Just like I have been with all social media, not because of um, fear of it or not wanting to read negative comments or anything like that, but just more of like just the consideration of how much time and attention and energy something like that can consume without really having created any type of sharper intellect or more critical thought. Or a lot of times they seem to be, responses going around excuse me, in sort of like waves of like sentiment. There'll be a person, if a figure will come up in the news, and there'll be a wave of sentiment about that person, and then that just will sweep through social media, and everyone will just sort of like jump on and has this sort of like accumulating effect that happens. And so I've always been very just weary of that, just because it seems like such a waste of time. I mean, I can understand there are some interesting aspects to it, and it's similar to the idea of why I think podcasts and YouTube can be very interesting for those long format conversations. But it just, when you limit things to a few characters, and you tend to like encourage sort of slogan-esque type of speech.
And things are so easily misperceived, I believe,
Uh,
we
uh,
have our own stuff behind it. When we read just, text messages, I mean, they can be misconstrued.
yeah, quite
Uh,
easily, because you don't hear the person say it.
right.
Depending on the mood that you're in, you might, read a sentence from someone, and then you're like, at the period at the end is sudden like, oh my god, period. Oh, did you see that man wrote period at the end of and
Exactly.
people can get out of control.
Yeah.
Get out of control.
But yeah, that's funny. It's not funny, but I felt the same reasoning as to why. And it's basically, I feel like through the sharing of ideas, we can learn from each other. And that's like on that global scale. And, you know, it's also important to me. I think that you kind of touched on this too. And it reminds me of like the quote from, I think, Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum's character. And he says that, you were so busy, figuring out, whether or not you could do it, that you never stopped to ask why, or if
Yeah.
you should do it.
Yeah.
And so, it's so easy nowadays with social media to just throw things out there,
Yeah.
at the drop of a hat. And you can start your own podcast, you can have your own YouTube channel,
Mm,
you know attract thousands of followers on Instagram and etc. But yeah, if you don't have some kind of and some kind of thought process behind it, it can get you into trouble. So, but yeah, it's a
yeah.
great,
Yeah.
I do believe it's a great tool, if used, you know.
Well, it's the same kind of problem as like a lot of things in our life. No, like it's something that requires us to view it with a certain ethic. like to approach it with a certain ethic. And because it's so new and it's so fast and it's just going, and we're sort of in an age where like the individual is extremely um, important, and their desires and their dreams should be fulfilled, and there's a certain amount of entitlement and all of that, the even the spiritual gurus of the day are sort of like, demand it from the universe, that life owes you a Cadillac and a model wife or whatever. And so
So true. So true. But yeah, I think that's basically our thinking processes behind why we are doing this, and the what, that's still up in the air. That's kind of the whole thing. Is that this is an abstract process, and we hope that it leads down some interesting roads. But at this point, I had initially conceived of an idea that involved, kind of an off branch of my snippets, which was centering around musicians and just kind of getting their take on their creative process. So yeah, I'm in the middle of trying to set up a green screen studio and then have musicians, producers, and DJs perform, and maybe even just send in work, um, kind of as almost a meditative, chill, rhythm roulette kind of type show. So yeah, that could be some of the things that are in store, because I don't want to listen to my voice, so I want to fill up some of this space with some music, and people would much rather listen to something, as long as it's not too weird. But um, Mr. Monk, Mr. Farrell Monk, what else do you have? What kind of topics and stuff are you wanting to explore and investigate?
That I'm pretty much open to all topics of discussion. I'm the type of person that just really likes to consider things from all angles, and I do a lot of thinking. I love to do a lot of talking, so I'm pretty much open to all topics. I like topics that are more real, like more topics that are like usually the unspoken things about life, that
So
whether
you don't,
depending on like your family members or your friends or whatever, the things that you either don't want to burden others with, or whatever the case may be.
so you don't want to talk
Those
about
kinds of those kinds
Harry
of
and
like
Meghan?
real those kinds of like real kinds of things I like to talk about. And sometimes that spills over into politics, because those have real effects on people's lives. But I'm really interested in sort of how um, human consciousness gets molded over a lifetime to become this like a very interesting theater. This amalgam of different people's ideas and games, and sort of how does that thing wake up to the artificial nature of that construct, and sort of come to a point where that becomes a creative tool of something much deeper, something much more real. And so topics and things that sort of lead in that direction interest me the most, because they feel like in this uncertain amount of time that we're given in a life, they feel like discussions that have more of like a vitality to them. There's something more alive about them than what the Kardashians are doing, or if Kanye West is in an asylum yet, or whatever people's the preoccupations are with
I check in.
with celebrities that will never give a
Yeah, I check in.
about you.
I check in sporadically you know, these days. And everyone was talking about Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, I've seen that all over the
Every
internet.
all their
Yeah.
fucking
What
talking.
they say in the interview thing, and what do they, you know?
Anyway, we're not going to talk about that because we are.
Uh,
I'm falling prey to it too.
yeah,
But anyway,
it's all good.
we're good.
I'm not trying to walk the perfect line.
No, we good.
I'm just trying to keep it 100 all the time I can.
That's it. That's all you can
Uh,
do. Absolutely. Well, I think this is a
a good start,
good start, man. And
and see, and just, like you'll have a chance now, also just to see what it looks like once you get it on
yeah,
your side. We'll get to see what we sound like, and
yeah, I'm gonna try to take it maybe into Isotope or
you
Audacity
know,
or something, and check out the audio and clean it up with some if I can.
yeah. And I mean, if for whatever it turns out to be, whoever might happen upon this video or this podcast at some point in the future, hopefully, we'll be getting better as time goes on, and
Yeah, absolutely.
the
Oh,
the
thanks for taking
ideal
the
the
video.
ideal will be developing, and there'll be completely different things going on.
Yeah,
I think it's a nice.
we'll see if there's video.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think there is. I know there will be audio. So
No, but I mean, even on like a platform like YouTube or something like that,
well, eventually we'll be up there. Yeah,
you know what
I'm
I
looking
mean?
at
Like,
Twitch. Yeah,
because if this is captured all as video right now, we can put this up on YouTube, and it's also the historical first.
it's true. I am wearing all my
You know,
clothes, so it's okay.
you know.
I did light a cigarette, but I'm gonna be doing
uh,
that. You know, shout
yeah.
out to Edward Murrow.
uh, just authentic, man. Two guys going through life, trying to be authentic, and enjoy like the creative things that life gives you. Yeah,
Yeah, man, that's what it's all about.
trying to come out the
Stay,
other side,
stay pro.
having had a good time and been a good person, and learned a lot and met a lot of cool people, and
Yeah,
like that's
we made it into our 40s. It's pretty miraculous.
yeah, yeah. It's still really weird to think about it.
Anyway,
45.
love you, brah.
Love you too, man.
All right.
Um,
I hope everybody out there has enjoyed the little quick podcast session, impromptu, and that's how we do it around here at Ready Made. Stay tuned.
Ready Made Podcast.